Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel where we talk about all things audio and of course all things tech in general. So today I have with me the Marantz NR1510 AV receiver. What we'll do is this is not going to be an unboxing video, but we'll just do a small highlight of the different specs for this particular AV receiver, as well as talk about the different inputs and also what sort of things it supports. And lastly, we'll talk about who this particular AV receiver I feel is for. So we'll talk about that. First things first, what I like to do is I do have a tape measure. Let's just see the dimensions of this particular AV receiver. So it comes in at about 18 pounds. So it's not too heavy. Everything is pretty much packed in here. So all the different components, and it comes, as you can tell, in a small form factor. So it is about, I'll turn it around here. So it's about 4 inches tall. So it's not a big AV receiver. It is about 17 inches wide, and then of course, for those that are worried about whether this is gonna fit in your cabinet or not, it is about 13 inches deep. So, and you want to factor in the connection, the speaker connection ports in the back. So add about an inch or two to allow the wires to freely hang in the back. All right, so let's just go over the specs here, and I guess we could talk about, although I don't have the box with me, we could talk about what comes in the box. This is a 5.2 channel AV receiver, and in the box you do get a power cable. You do get the remote control. I don't have the power cable with me, but it's just a standard. It's not a hardwired power cable. I'll turn it around and show you guys. But you do get this remote. Nothing too fancy, nothing to brag about. It's just a regular old Denon Marantz receiver remote. Let's see here. You also get the sound calibration microphone, so you can run the Odyssey sound calibration once you get the AV receiver set up. You do get 2 antennas that you can see here. I do have them installed already. So you do get 2 Wi-Fi/Bluetooth antennas. So you do need to install these. What else does it come with? It does come with, I don't know if anybody still uses these, but the FM wire antennas, AM loop antenna. So, I highly doubt that anybody's going to be using those. It does come with the quick start guide. It has all the warranty information and everything, but mainly it comes with the Odyssey microphone, so you can run your calibration, the remote, all that good stuff is going to be included in the box. And I guess we can talk a little bit about the specs of this particular AV receiver. Like I mentioned, it is a 5.2 channel AV receiver. It does not support Atmos. This is, of course, like I mentioned, 5-channel amplifier. It does come in at 50 watts per channel into 8 ohms. So, for your regular bookshelf speakers where it doesn't require a whole lot of power, this is, I think, enough to power those. So a lot of those bookshelf speakers are 8 ohms. So, and I do want to mention that the 50 watts per channel, and you can see it written on the side here, that it mentions how much the wattage is. The 50 watts per channel is actually going to be for 2 channels. So this will support 2 channels, 50 watts each, RMS max. So it doesn't give a whole lot of power from what I noticed, but for what I needed it to do and for the purpose that I'm going to be using it for, I think that should be sufficient. And there's also a feature for a specific feature for this receiver that you can make use of if you do require more power and you want to use like an external amplifier, because it does have preamp outputs, and I'll show you guys a little later. It does support Dolby and DTS surround sound decoding. You can of course run Odyssey through the microphone here, which is pretty useful, so you can run your room calibration to have a more balanced dynamic sound. It does support HDMI 2.0. And I'll go a little bit deeper into that because I do want to mention something that I think is important for a certain group of folks who might try to get this receiver for the purpose of using with like gaming systems. But yeah, it does support HDMI 2.0. See what else we got. It is HDR compatible for extended picture contrast and brightness with compatible 4K TVs. It does support HDR10, Dolby Vision, and HLG. It does have eARC, so you can connect it to your TV, so the audio return channel. I guess the only thing that's left is to turn it around and just show you what the back looks like. So let me just switch it around. All right. So looking at the back here, we obviously have the different connections. So let's just start off here. We obviously have some phono inputs here. You do have your antenna, so where it does come with an external antenna that you can use if you want to use the FM radio. So it does have that here. You can also, let's see, yeah, both of these are for the antenna. It does have optical input, so if you don't have an HDMI, I guess input on your TV or output on your TV, you do have the ability to use an optical input here. What else do we have? We have a networking jack here, so you can plug this in, hardwire it into your network, so that you have the fastest speed, of course, and most reliable speed. Like I mentioned, you do have the phono input here. You do have the RCA audio in inputs here. So if you want to use like CD players, if you want to connect a DVD player. Or maybe if you have a cable box, you do have the ability to plug those in here if you still use those. And here is what I was mentioning earlier. Like I mentioned, this only supports 50 watts per channel for 2 channels at 8 ohms. So what you could potentially do if you have maybe some tower speakers that do need additional power, you do have the ability to use the pre-outs for this. So this does support 2 channel pre-outs. So you could do your left and right speakers. So if you have an external amplifier, so you can use this as a preamp and then allow the external amplifier to provide those speakers, with the power that they need. Because with speakers, you don't want to underwhelm them, you don't want to underpower them so that they're starving for power. You want to make sure that they're getting adequate power from the amplifier. So if you have speakers that need a lot of power, definitely you can use, and you have external amplifiers, you can use the pre-out amps here. What else do we have? So you can use remote control. You have video out here, monitor. So I haven't really used any of these here. I just stick to using HDMI. Let's see what we have here. So you do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 HDMI inputs. None of these are HDMI 2.1. That's another thing that I also wanted to mention. So this means if you are trying to use this for the purpose of maybe attaching like a PS5 or any next gen console that makes use of basically 120p, this will not be able to pass that through. This is going to limit you at 60 hertz. So 120 hertz, that's not going to work with this particular receiver. You would have to connect, for example, your PS5 directly to your TV. But it is going to allow you to pass through the 4K signal. They're pre-labeled, but I do believe you should be able to change these inputs. They do automatically pick up what sort of device you have attached, so you can plug those in. Here's the eARC input here, so you can plug in your TV and make sure that you can get the audio return channel. So whatever's playing on your TV, if you have like I guess a cable box hooked in, whatever's playing on your TV is going to come through the receiver and then be outputted through the speakers here. Like I mentioned earlier, this is a 5-channel receiver, so you do have 5 channels here. You have your front right, front left, center, surround right, and surround left. So this is going to be 5 channels. So 5.2, the .2 meaning you'll be able to attach 2 subwoofers to this particular AV receiver, which you can see here in the pre-out section. Like I mentioned, this will be for your front, so this will be your pre-out for the subwoofers. What else we got here? And these connectors are pretty nice. Obviously, I don't expect anything less from Marantz. So these do allow you to hook up some banana plugs as well. And of course, you can pop in your wires and tighten it that way as well if you don't want to use banana plugs. Here is the power connector. I do appreciate that we don't have anything that's hardwired in, so I don't know, maybe if you damage it or something, or if you feel like it's too short, that's not going to be a problem. You can just unplug it and replace the wire. So that's pretty neat that they did that. Here are the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi antennas. You just screw them in here and then you're good to go. Let me just see what I missed here. I don't believe I missed anything that's worth mentioning. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. If you have an IR blaster, you can plug it in here. So you'll be able to power up the AV receiver. And I want to say sometimes you'll be able to hook this up to an amplifier as well, but I'm not certain. But yeah, this is an IR blaster in, so you'll be able to use that to wake up the system. But if you're using ARC, then the system should wake up automatically on its own. So you can turn on your TV. Let's see, that should pretty much be it as far as inputs go. Let me just turn it around because you do have some stickers in the front, I'm sorry, that highlight some of the other features that it has. You'll be able to use Spotify. It does have a Spotify app here. Of course, it has Bluetooth. It does also have Apple AirPlay 2, which is pretty neat. You'll be able to use a multi-room, streaming if you want. So you can have your speakers hooked up to this particular receiver. You might have other speakers like a Sonos speaker elsewhere in your house, so you'll be able to make use of the multi-room speaker feature that's part of AirPlay 2. That is part of this particular receiver. It does support Amazon Alexa. It has HEOS, which is basically I want to say a Denon proprietary streaming, so you can stream music through the internet over your speakers connected to this particular receiver. If you have HEOS supported speakers, other like Denon speakers, I know Denon makes them. You can also do multi-room music streaming as well. So that's pretty neat that that's available. You'll be able to, I'm not quite sure if this is going to work with like external hard drives. I think that might be a little bit too much for it to read through the files. But if you have like a flash drive or anything, this should support high-res audio as well. So it is listed on here. You just flip this right here. This does support high-res audio. So you should be able to make use of that, so you can load your high-res music, whether it's like lossless audio or FLAC files. I guess you can put them on a flash drive, hook them to here, and it should play DSD files as well. I'm pretty sure it does. So any high-res files, you'll be able to play it through this particular receiver as well. So you get that high-quality, low compression, lossless audio. So you're gonna have to notice that, or you should notice that quality, of course. You do have the ton of buttons here. Internet radio, I guess that will be for like Spotify. You can dim the front unit here so that it's not distracting if you're in a dark room or something. What else do we have? You do have Pure Direct. What that basically means, it essentially turns off any other components of the receiver. You would mainly use that, I guess, if you're listening to high-res audio or lossless audio. You want to get that, you want to get all this sound, nothing that's processed, nothing that's digitalized. So everything from the file, if you want to hear all details, you can switch it to Pure Direct mode. I do believe that's going to turn off all the HDMI inputs. So anything that it feels is unnecessary, it's going to go ahead and turn it off, so that way you have little to none interference at all. So Pure Direct mode, it's just going to play whatever music you have hooked up to the device, or whatever you're streaming to it. It's going to switch it to Pure Direct mode. Yep, high-res audio, Dolby Audio, DTS HD. It does have one additional input here. This one is 4K. Like I mentioned, this is not 2.1, so you have your volume button here. You of course have your input selector, so you can pick through the different inputs that I mentioned in the back. What else do we have here? Pretty basic front unit. You don't have that signature Marantz dial where it has a little digital screen. This is a small form factor AV receiver, so you don't have all that stuff that you would see in the bigger AV units. You can see right here it's referenced that it's 100 watts. That's total. Like I mentioned, it's 50 watts per channel for 2 channels. Keep that in mind. Don't make the mistake of thinking that this particular AV receiver is going to be giving out 50 watts to all 5 channels. That's not going to happen. Make sure that you are aware that this doesn't have that much amplification power for speakers. What else do we have? AirPlay 2, I mentioned that already. Odyssey, you'll be able to do your room calibration. Yeah, so all that good stuff. All right, now that we've gone over the different specs of this particular AV unit, I guess the question is, who should buy this particular receiver? So I would say, given the small form factor, I think this is best suited for small rooms, maybe like a music listening room. I know it's not a stereo AV receiver, but I think it's going to serve well in those small rooms. It has a small form factor, so you can just stick it into a small cabinet. And I'm using this in our family room just to power 2 bookshelf speakers. They're obviously not going to be getting a lot of power from this particular receiver, but to drive 2 bookshelf speakers, I think that should be sufficient. I'm not going to be cranking it up to an absolute max where I guess you might run into some issues because it's not getting those speakers are not getting enough power. So yeah, if you have like a I guess like a 3 channel where you have you have your right and left channels, and then you have your center channel speaker. If you want to just drive those, I think you should be safe. Maybe a pretty small rear channel speaker. You might be able to drive that with this particular AV receiver. I don't see any issues with that. But definitely, I think a 3 channel setup, this will be your best, your best friend for that. Now, if you are a gamer, meaning you have, you're using next gen consoles, you're looking to plug your PS3 to the receiver and then, eventually send it up to the TV. This might not be the best for you because it, like I mentioned earlier, it does not do the pass-through of that 120 hertz, so it's going to limit you to 60 hertz. So I don't think that will be a big deal. Obviously, you can hook it up to the TV, and I'm assuming it's probably going to run the audio back down to the receiver. I'm not quite sure, to be honest, but it doesn't do any pass-through of 120 hertz. I've seen other bigger receivers be able to do that. It doesn't have that, so that might, I guess you can consider that as a limitation. It being underpowered, I guess, even though you do have those pre-outs, might be considered as a limitation. Of course you have 2 inputs for subwoofers. Obviously this is not going to be used to power those subwoofers, but if you have 2 powered subwoofers, you can plug them in. I think you'll have a decent setup for small rooms, small studios, and some people might even put them in their bedrooms. In my case, I'm putting it in my family room. It's just going to power 2 small bookshelf speakers. What else did I miss here that may be considered as I guess a limitation? You know what you're getting yourself into. You know what you want this particular receiver. Like I mentioned, you might be able to use it for a pretty small 5.2 channel setup. It will work to power speakers, but if you're trying to power like a dedicated home theater, this is definitely not going to be it. This is not going to work. This is just not going to cut it. It also doesn't have Atmos. This does have a big brother. It's the NR1510, I want to say. That one is a 7.2 channel, and it does give you a little bit more power. might be 100 watts as well, but it does give you 2 additional inputs for Atmos. So if you want to use Dolby Atmos, you'll be able to make use of that. So that's the rundown of this particular receiver. You know, its small form factor is definitely a big a plus. You don't see, receivers this size. I mean, you can see how small this thing is. So small form factor is definitely a plus. Bookshelf speakers, I think you should be pretty fine. And you get that, of course, signature Marantz sound, crisp sound. I was actually using a Denon receiver. I have a Denon receiver right now, which it could be in the same family. This is more of a higher end when compared to Denon, I guess. But with this particular receiver, especially music and things like that, it sounds crisp. You get that warm tone with the Marantz amplifier. It's not the cream of the crop, of course, but for the power of just for the purpose of using it as a casual TV room and things like that, this will be perfect. So no issues there. So I'm not sure if they still sell these. I got these a while back, but if you can get your hands on them, I think it's definitely a way to get your foot into the Marantz family. Um, Definitely. So I would still recommend it. I've used it. I haven't had any issues with it. You also have the ability to use the Marantz app to to control the system as well. So that's a plus. What else? Yeah, I think yeah, overall, I would definitely recommend it. Like I mentioned, just make sure you're using it for small rooms. So I don't think you're gonna run into any issues there. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do consider liking and subscribing to this channel. I'll have more content coming out. I'll probably do another video just showing what the setup is like. I'm probably going to go through the Odyssey room calibration tool as well that you can use to get the optimum settings for your speaker. It adjusts the levels, how adjust the distances and all of that automatically. It's going to run through some test sounds and try to figure out what the best settings for each speaker would be. So I'll probably create a video just highlighting that as well. And it's going to be tough, of course, to get the what the amplifier and the speakers sound like. But I'll do my best to do kind of like a demo of different content from doing like a high-res audio streaming, and then maybe doing some previews of movies just to give you an idea of what it sounds like. The best thing to do is, of course, to go to your local electronic shop. Maybe Best Buy might still have it in their like Magnolia Theater section, and just test it out for yourself and just see what it sounds like. You get that warm sound with Marantz that I do enjoy. So I'm definitely a big fan of this. I look forward to maybe upgrading my other receivers, bigger receivers, to their other units, their cinema line now. I don't believe they don't make this particular line anymore, but they do have the cinema line that's fairly recently released. So I'll be checking that out as well. So be on the lookout for those videos, and thanks for watching.